Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Starfield video. So just a short one today. I thought we'd have a little look around the player home in Dazra as part of the Shattered Space DLC now that I've got that finished and decorated. And have a little chat about my thoughts and impressions and sort of mini review of the Shattered Space DLC now that I have worked my way through that. So, this is a modded build. I will put a list up on screen somewhere around about now so you can see the mods that I've used. I've actually got a couple of extra mods, but these are the ones that are actually appearing in this particular build. They are available on both PC and on Xbox as well, so whichever platform you're on, you will be able to use them. It is worth mentioning, I did use console command in a couple of places, so that does limit things. Hopefully, and I'll point this out when we get there, Bethesda will fix the only essential part of that, so it won't matter in the long run, but that's going to have to be a fingers crossed situation, I think. So, first up, we're going to take a little walk through Dazra so you can see where the actual house is, so you can find it. Minor potential spoilers here, so you may wish to avoid that, or you may not, but nothing humongous, so we'll try and avoid that as we go on. And take a little run through town. So, I quite like how this has come out. I like the DLC. The house is a little bit small, but it is what it is. And I had a good time with this. I definitely think it's a good addition to the game. I've seen a few people out on the internet basically saying that if you didn't like Starfield, this isn't going to change your mind, but if you did, you'll like this. I think that's a fairly accurate summary, really. I definitely did enjoy Starfield, and I enjoyed this DLC as well. The goods exchange here on the right is the landmark you need to keep an eye out for when it comes to finding this house. Incidentally, it is behind the goods exchange. If you want to know how to unlock it, incidentally, you can technically steal the key from the guy who runs the meat house, which is kind of a restaurant, but you're supposed to wait until the end of the main story when you'll be given it as part of completing the main story. So yeah, I recommend that option by quite a long way. Saves potential problems. Andre's just hanging out front here. So yeah, main story-wise, without spoiling it, it's an interesting one. The story structure is one I've seen in movies and books and video games before, the way you interact with various people and NPCs and protagonists, antagonists, all of that, and the actions they take and the things they do is structurally similar to things you will have seen elsewhere before, obviously with a new story on top of it. And I think Bethesda have used the structure well to tell a very cool new story, and I am particularly pleased with that. It's come together very well and it's enjoyable. For a comparison, it's like Star Wars is structurally the same as, or at least the original movies are, structurally the same as a lot of stories that have been told throughout human history. They're just telling a new story through that medium, that setup. This kind of does the same thing, and it does it well. So we've got a whole bunch of mods in here. Technically speaking, this cooking station on the right here, there is actually some extra rubber matting on the floor that I disabled using console commands. Turned out I didn't need to do that, but you know what hindsight's like. But there's an FYI in case you're curious. There is normally 2 more rubber mats in front of the units either side of the cooking station there. But yeah, turns out I didn't need to remove those, but still. Yeah, quite happy with this place. There are some really, really cool features in and out of this DLC. It gives you a really nice introduction to House Vruun, or deep dive, I should say, into House Vruun. We already get an introduction. You find out more about the faction, more about the people who are part of the society of House Vruun as well, and their lives. Side quests in particular do a really good job of sort of introducing you to members of the community, for want of a better word, and it really, really does give you a feel for the kind of living, breathing society, and it's interesting. The political thing is also interestingly structured as well, and obviously ties into the main story, as you can imagine. I definitely enjoyed those DLC. You do get to meet in this DLC as well elements of the Crimson Fleet and the Spacers, who are present on Varankai, and because this place is supposed to be a hidden world, they have to explain how these people who shouldn't know it's here got here. Which they do. Without spoilers, I do think they took basically the least interesting possible way of doing that. This is very much small, side-questy minor stuff, so it's not particularly problematic, but There the choice they made is the most obvious, simple, and not exciting version of that they could have done, I think. So, that I wasn't blown away by. It works just fine, it makes sense, but yeah, it's not particularly exciting. The quests that they're attached to are quite cool, though, so there is that. This is quite fun, this little bit here. I do quite like this space. It came together quite nicely. The mods definitely made life considerably easier for adding detail and faster as well. Starfield is better than some of Bethesda's other games when it comes to putting stuff on shelves, but the fact that some of these shelves are sort of at least partially pre-decorated in mods is definitely going to make life a bit easier. And I really like how this bedroom came out as well. I'm particularly pleased with that. Regarding the Shattered Space sort of DLC in general, I would say bug-wise, Bethesda have done really well on this. There are relatively few issues with it. There are a couple little ones here and there, but nothing major and nothing particularly problematic, so I was quite impressed with that. There's a couple of little things they can definitely work on, but still, they've done a solid job with this, in my opinion. I like my little seating reading area here in the bedroom. So the other console command I mentioned that I use that is not unavoidable, but it is if you want to do this, is that there is a bed in this room when you get the place that you cannot remove through the building system. It's a fixed feature. I had to use console commands. It's normally right about here where we're looking, where that plant is on the left of the bed. Yeah, it's normally right about there, and you can't get rid of it through the building system. It is fixed in place, and there are reasons for that. However, I think Bethesda could have set it up so that the fixed tag, whatever it is that stops it being removed, could have been disabled once the DLC's main story ended and stuff, so that it's not problems. But they didn't. I think it's a bit of an oversight there. Hopefully, that is something that Bethesda will fix in an update going forward, because it does kind of ruin the space, the bedroom space in particular. It's, I'll say, particularly well-placed or interesting bed. So it does need to be removed, and I had to use console commands to make it go away. If you are going to do that on PC, incidentally, I would absolutely suggest do not try and get this place early. Get to the end of the DLC first. Make sure you have finished the DLC before you start disabling stuff through console commands, because you could break your game if you do not. And if you do that, that's on you, not me. Okay? But other than a few little things like that, I'm pretty darn pleased with the DLC on the whole. One of the other things that did get to me a little bit, there's a couple of things really, is the loot lists. So through Bethesda's games, the way they distribute loot is through basically randomized lists that roll loot into containers, things like that. The game uses, in my opinion, or the DLC uses too much of the base game's loot lists and not enough of a unique new one, because you get too much stuff from the settled systems appearing in containers and stuff in Dazra and the surrounding area. In my view, it's a little bit immersion breaking. There are reasons why some things from the settled systems would be here, and it does get counted for a lot of the time in the story, both in the base game and in the DLC. But they do go too far with it, I think. A little bit more uniqueness in the loot rolls would have been better. Speaking of, there's new outfits, there's new weapons, there's new spacesuits, all of which are pretty darn cool. I've actually respec'd my whole character using a mod to use new House Varun weaponry because it's cool and I like it and it's fun and it changes the tone from previous playthrough. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. It's a lot of fun and new stuff is nice there. Speaking of things that missed out, the opportunity to kind of get right here and there with the outcomes of the story, and I'm going to be careful here not to spoil anything. There are choices you can make that could have an impact beyond Varunkai and Dazra and out into the wider settled systems if you go down certain paths. You could see the effect of those elsewhere, except that you can't because it doesn't happen, as far as I can tell. And that's a missed opportunity. There's definitely things they could have done to make your choices feel like they have ramifications, and they kind of haven't done that. Subsequent updates might correct that shortcoming. I hope they do, because, yeah, seeing the effects of your decisions playing out elsewhere in the settled systems would be really, really cool. And for now, it's not a thing, which is a bit sad. There's also the embassy in New Atlantis, which is supposed to represent House Varun on the galactic stage. and there's kind of no opportunity to tie into that again in the DLC, which I feel like there could be. It seems like a missed opportunity there. But otherwise, I thought the DLC was good fun, good story, cool new loot, cool new outfits, cool new weapons. Sadly, no new spaceship stuff, unfortunately, but what can you do? And it plays well, and I really enjoyed playing through it. Don't think it will change your mind if you are not a fan of Starfield, but if you are, highly recommend playing through Shattered Space. It's cool. So, there we go. Hope you enjoyed a little look around my build here. I hope Bethesda can iron out a few of the wrinkles that still need doing in subsequent patches. They're supposed to be doing that for the long haul, so that's cool. If you did like it, then likes, subs, etc. always appreciated. Notification bell, social media links in the description, all that good stuff. Channel memberships if you want to check that stuff out, I very much appreciate. And yeah, we'll link around to my Shattered Space playlist, my larger Starfield playlist if you want to check that out. And some other builds and things like that if you want to have a look at those that I've done in the past in the game. And yeah, definitely some fun stuff here. I did enjoy this one. I do appreciate you guys stopping by to check it out. So, on that note, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.